Hey, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Southern Fried. Look, if you're listening to this around when it was released, we are in the thick of Christmas season. That means gift shopping, holiday parties, and of course, a lot of holiday treats. So today, our guest is someone who knows all too well about creating tasty goods for the holiday season and beyond. From baking to food styling, running a blog, and appearing on Baked with Love Holiday on the Hallmark Channel, I'm excited to hear from today's guest. Please welcome to the show Sally McKay of Sally's Confections. Welcome to the show, Sally. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm really good. In the thick of running Christmas errands and getting ready for all that. So, busy, but doing well.
Well, thanks for having me and taking the time out of this very busy season. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to talk with you. I know Baked with Love, the last episode just came out, so I want to talk about that some and just hear about your journey in baking and food styling and all that, because I just kind of think it's just kind of a cool gig. I think food styling is just a cool thing. So we'll talk about all that. But Sally, I love to ask my guests, this is Southern Fried. We're talking about people from the South. So I think some cred helps right at the beginning. So if you could just tell us, where are you from?
I am from Gardendale, Alabama. It's just north of Birmingham,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up there. I had family there, and it was a great town to grow up in. It's really grown a lot since I have moved away.
Yeah.
I went to Ole Miss to
Sorry.
college,
I'm sorry.
graduated. Yeah, hotty toddy. I went to Ole Miss and graduated in 2004, moved back to Birmingham and started working in banking, which is a far cry from what I do
Mm-hmm.
now. And then I had my first child with my husband and was a stay-at-home mom for a stretch and somehow got into the food world, food styling and cookie baking and all that. So it's an interesting path, but that's a little quick rundown.
Okay, really awesome. I do have to ask, and as a Mississippi State person, and I want to take my jabs where I can because y'all are clearly a better program than us right now. But how are you doing since Lane Kiffin left your university?
Well, I'm doing well because as an Ole Miss fan, you're used to good coaches leaving.
Yeah.
It's something that's happened. I actually grew up an Alabama fan. I
Okay.
still cheer for Alabama. And obviously, I cheer for Ole Miss too. And I went to Ole Miss because I followed my sister there and I just fell in love with the town and the campus.
Gotcha.
And I'm trying to think who the coach was when I was there. It was Coach Cutcliffe.
Mm-hmm.
He left and went to Duke. Just before he was there, it was Tommy Tuberville who had left and gone to Auburn. So that I see a pattern, and you know what? We'll just have to roll with it.
Yeah.
Hope
Yeah.
Ole Miss fans they're dedicated to the sport even when we are not a winning team. So it's been a good run, but hopefully the new coach will do a good job as well.
You know, that's I think that's one thing we have in common, our fan bases. I was talking to a Mississippi State person the other day, and I said like, I just made the comment about something about our program or that we're not doing well, and she was like, "We've never done well. We don't go to the games because we think we're gonna win. We're just there to support the team and have a good time." I'm like, "Okay, that's you gotta be reminded sometimes." But you say you moved back to Birmingham, went into baking or banking with an N, So how did you kind of find your way into you know, baking, goods and treats and cookies and all that stuff?
Well, when my oldest turned 4, actually, I think it was 4 or 5, I wanted some of those decorated sugar cookies for his birthday party.
Okay.
And they were quite pricey, and I know why now because they take a lot of time to make. But I just taught myself how to make those. And my first batch of decorated sugar cookies I ever did were Mickey Mouse ears. That was the theme of the party, Mickey Mouse.
Okay.
And everybody at the party said they loved them and was like, "Will you can you make these for me for my child's party?" And so I was like, "I don't know, maybe." And it just kind of grew from there. So I just baking for my family, sugar cookies that were decorated, and then eventually if friends reached out, I would make them for their children's birthday parties. And it just kind of became a thing, just a self-taught thing.
Sure. Yeah, next thing you know, you're churning them out. So You said self-taught. Was it like, did you grow up doing this, or were you just one day like, "I want these Mickey Mouse cookies. I'll grab my KitchenAid and figure it out."
I did grow up loving being in the kitchen.
Okay.
I did bake. If I had my mom was very supportive of me being in the kitchen with her. She would let me bake and experiment. If I had friends over, we would always want to make cupcakes or cookies, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
totally supported that. And so I did grow up really enjoying being in the kitchen, baking and cooking. I really never thought it would be my career. I never thought of
yeah.
that. But what happened was I was baking those cookies, like I said, that are decorated for my children's parties, other children's parties. And then my youngest went to kindergarten. And I thought, well, now's a good time for me to go back to work doing something. And I had a friend that worked at Southern Living at the time. And I asked her if they had any job openings because I loved, being in the kitchen, recipes, all that kind of thing. And they put me on a freelance food stylist list, and they called me one day, and that was back in 2017, maybe
Okay.
2016, 2017, somewhere along in there. And they called me in, and I started working freelance jobs up at the food studios in Birmingham. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a large food studio in Birmingham
Okay.
close to Stanford's campus.
Cool.
And they started calling me in, and I started in the video department working behind the scenes, doing all that magic where, somebody acts like they're baking a cake and then suddenly it's done. Well, there's
Yeah,
somebody behind the scenes that's actually getting the cake made while people are on set. And
sure.
it just grew from there, really.
Wow. That's really cool. Um I think, like, Southern when I think of, like, Southern things, Southern living, like, pops into my head. So was that cool to, like, kinda walk in there and start working with, like, that group of people and that crew, or did you kinda feel like, "Whatever, like, I got this," you know what I mean?
It was really cool. It was very intimidating at first
Okay.
because I'm not professionally trained, and a lot of people that work in the food studios are
Yeah, yeah,
professionally trained. So it's intimidating, but also it was very much a learning experience, learn and grow. And I really enjoyed working with all the people there and started in video and then eventually started getting hired on the photography side as well. So there's a video department where they make food videos and they
mhm,
have hosted shows and things. And then there's a photography department. And the photography department is the department that takes all the pictures that's actually in Southern Living magazine
okay,
or Food and Wine or I don't know, all recipes. There's a lot of brands under that umbrella.
yeah,
That I have worked for. But it all started because of the cookies, which is funny. Sugar
yeah,
cookies, who knew?
who knew? That'd be such a hit. Alright, so what was it like the first time like, do you have your copy of Southern Living that your first, like, styling job is in?
Actually, the first time my name has ever been in print in Southern Living in the magazine, it's been
Okay.
in print online, credited for a lot of work that I've done, but is this December's Big White Cake issue.
Wow.
So I helped work on the big white cake, so I have a food styling credit for that this year, along with another food stylist. Her name is Emily Neighbors Hall. So that's the first time it's ever been in print in the magazine. However, I have worked for Southern Living as a freelance food stylist for many years
Yeah,
now, and I have worked on some of their cookbooks where I'm credited that they put out each year and
very
some
cool.
other projects. So they've got a big umbrella of things that they do.
Yeah.
Cookbooks, magazines, digital work, videos. It's really cool.
So growing up in Gardendale, going to school in Oxford, are there when you're now kind of, you're not just doing the sugar cookies anymore. If you go to your blog site, all the recipes on there, I mean, you have so much stuff. Is there any kind of Southern influence that you have on those things, or not so much? Where does the South kind of fit at all into what you're cooking and what you bake and stuff?
The South definitely fits into almost everything that
Awesome.
I do. My grandmother, my mom's mom, was an excellent cook and baker, and I
Great.
just adored her, adored both of my grandmothers. But Granny lived in the kitchen.
Hmm.
She also fostered my love of being in the kitchen from a very early age, and I loved all her recipes. But back in the day, we didn't have the internet
Yeah,
when I was young. Everything was just written down on recipe cards, and it was just kinda like, I don't know how to explain it, like a dash of this, a dash of this, a can of this.
sure.
It wasn't very precise, and
Yeah,
so what I try to do is kind of capture those recipes, but give them an exact list of ingredients
yeah,
and
yeah,
instructions on my website, and they're definitely heavily influenced by my grandmother and my mom and just being around Southern cooking my whole life. It's my favorite type of food for
yeah.
sure.
I love that. I tell you, my mom, I grew up, it's funny, I have an older sister, but cooks really well now. But I think just kind of growing up, I was the one that kind of gravitated towards being in the kitchen with my mom. And so I'm used to the like dash of this, splash of that, just kind of figure it out. My wife, when we got married, everything we made, it was like, I got to find the teaspoon, I got to do that. And I'd be like, oh, and so I think I've started to probably de-influence her in a bad way that we just start cooking however we're going to cook. And, if something comes out not as great, then whatever, we'll figure it out. But I love that, you know, you're trying to figure out how to capture that in all you're doing now. I think that's cool to hear. I will say a lot right now. There's a lot of pecan stuff on the website of yours, just I guess with the holiday season. So I,
Yeah.
I, I like looking at that too.
The pecans, yeah, the pecans are very Southern,
Yeah,
and I often think when I'm working and we're doing a lot of recipes, does that really need pecans? Some people could take or leave them.
sure.
They do smell delicious when you're toasting them in the oven or,
Yeah,
sautéing them with butter. But yes, 'tis the season for all things pecan. But how do you say pecan? I say pecan. Do you say pecan, pecan? It's a big debate.
I know. I'm a pecan person, but I will trip. That's a great question. I'll trip myself up. I don't know if you ever do this. I'll be like, no, I say pecan, but am I supposed to say pecan? Like I always like don't want to say the wrong one, so I'll kind of like hesitate on it.
It's a big debate here in the South.
It is.
Yeah, I love Southern recipes. And to get back to what you were saying about cooking,
Yeah.
I'm very much a dash of this, add a little cheese, throw some of this in there. Baking definitely is something where you have to be more precise
Yeah, yeah.
with leavening agents like baking powder, baking soda, that kind of thing, or you might not get the rise that you need from your bakes.
Yeah.
So have to be a little more precise on those. Maybe not with the flavor like vanilla extract or lemon extract. You can throw a little bit more
Sure.
than it calls for in there, but you definitely have to be precise on the leavening agent.
Well, we're so used to in the South, like when I'm cooking, if it calls for half a stick of butter, that's a stick of butter. Like
For
like
sure.
but when you get like you're saying, when you get to baking, if you try and throw a curveball like that, you're going to end up with some pretty bad biscuits or something sometimes.
Hey, yeah, I do love to make biscuits. That's one of my favorite things to make. Have you ever made them?
My mom was big on drop biscuits, so we made a lot of those
Okay.
growing up.
Biscuits are good, and I like to make them in big batches and freeze them, and then just pull out, 3 or 4 on a Saturday or Sunday morning and bake them all.
Your most recent recipe, I'll say on your website, you've got these holiday flaky biscuits. Are those to die for?
If you like butter, they are. There's a lot of
So
butter in
then,
that
yeah,
recipe. If you're not a fan of butter, don't try to make those, but
they're
if
a
you like it
good
a lot, they're good.
they're a good wintertime. Like I'm not going to the beach anytime soon biscuit.
Right, for sure. I don't think anybody's going to the beach this week.
Hey, y'all, I hope you're enjoying this episode of Southern Fried with Sally. She was so fun to talk to and get to hear about how the South has influenced her work. We really get into food styling just because, honestly, I think it's cool, and I wanted to hear her talk about it. And so we talk about that in this episode, too. But it's so fun to really talk to somebody, sit down, and hear how the South has influenced them and their work because this is a great place, and so it's so fun to continue to highlight that in our shows. Hey, if you're wondering, Southern Fried, still sponsored by Southern Fried, okay? We are our one lone sponsor, the show itself. Which, hey, it's great because you can do things like this. Do me a favor, At some point, go to Sally's website. It's Sally's, Sallys, confections.com. Look at her recipes, read her blog post, check out all that she's done. It's a really, really cool website. And I just ask that y'all go support her because you're also supporting Southern Fried. Now let's get back to the show. So I think you like finding your way into this freelance food styling. I think that is like, I don't know why I think that job is so cool. I guess because I've seen like have you ever seen those like commercial or like the behind the scenes where they'll be like, but they don't actually use maple syrup in their commercials. They actually use so like all that stuff. I just think it's cool. What's it like food styling? Like, is it challenging? Do you ever like really work hard on trying to make something look perfect and you just can't get it to work? What is that world like?
Food styling is challenging but fun.
Yeah.
Different. Everything that you do each day is different. So I like that about the job. What's challenging is that you are trying to create something for someone that has an idea in their head of what they want. And
Sure.
so you're trying to figure out what they want, make it look beautiful,
Yeah.
and present it to them and get approval by them before they can send it to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
In the magazine or online. It's more challenging, I would say, with modern technology to do the tricks that people used to do back in the day
Okay.
because cameras are so good now and they pick up on everything.
Gotcha.
Think about a glass of water. Well, you can use fake ice cubes when you're food styling, but if you use fake ice cubes, the glass is not going to sweat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So then
Wow.
it looks weird. Well, there are ways to fake sweat on a glass,
Gosh.
but anyway, it's a lot more I feel like this day and age you have to actually make the food with what the actual product is.
Gotcha.
Trying to think of some tricks though. Ice cream is one that's very challenging because it melts very
Yeah, that
quickly.
feels like hard to, and all the hot lights around it, trying to photograph that.
Mhm. So I've actually worked on some Publix ice cream shoots
Okay.
and they want you to use real ice cream, not fake ice cream,
Well, hey,
and
that's
so
the public standard, like if they're gonna set that bar.
they do, and so if you ever go into Publix, like I do, I go almost every day.
Yeah.
If you go to their ice cream section, you'll see all their ice cream on their ice cream quarts,
Yeah.
and then you'll see, like, posters of it hanging up, and that somebody has food styled that, maybe me, actually, probably not me recently because I haven't done one of those shoots in a while, but we will just scoop ice cream all day long, take it to set, have it photographed, it'll start melting, and then you just have
Goodness.
to start all over again, and we will even buy dry ice, which you can also buy at Publix,
Yeah.
and we will break it into pieces, and we will sift it over the ice cream cone to try to keep the
My
ice cream
gosh, really?
frozen.
That's crazy.
Ice cream, while it's simple to scoop, is one of the more challenging things
Yeah.
to style. You can make fake ice cream, but then it doesn't have that melting factor.
Yeah.
And so this day and age, they really like to have the food do what it's supposed to do, but you can't let it go too far. And I'm sorry, that was a really long-winded
No, that's
answer
so
for
interesting.
what I do. Now, something like decorating a cake, for instance,
Mhm.
those hold up a little while longer on set. But cold things or things that are supposed to be really hot, you have to get in there and get the picture quickly, or that we call it the food will die, and it will just look dead on
Yeah.
set, and we have to remake it.
So you've talked about so far Southern Living, Publix. Are there any other brands you've worked with that are
Yeah.
fun? Where, take us down that journey.
Okay, let's see. I've worked for Southern Living, Food and Wine, All Recipes,
Okay.
Martha Stewart Living. I'm trying to think of all of them. Better Homes and Gardens, Spice World. Spice World makes that little minced garlic.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
worked
yeah.
for
Good
White
stuff.
Lily Flour, Pfluger Butter. I can't even think of all of them.
All around.
I'm thankful for it, but yes, I've worked for many different brands, and they all have different expectations and different ways they like things done, and I enjoy, having different brands to work for.
That is okay, and, I think earlier you might have said in 2017 was really when you started getting into this?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
in what is that, 8 years that you've worked with all those brands, I think that is probably the coolest thing to me that you got out like, got your name out there and they were like, "Oh, yeah, let's keep let's keep getting her, doing our food styling." I think that's awesome.
It is great, and I'm very thankful and blessed that we have that food studio here in Birmingham
Yeah,
because there is a lot of work here in Birmingham, and that is good for somebody like me. Otherwise, I would have to travel a lot,
sure.
and having a family, I'm not really in a position where I want to do that right now. I'm not saying I would never do it, but right now, while the kids are still at home, traveling would be tough.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so you've, kind of taken this journey and most recently you were on the Hallmark Channel, right? And did the Baked with Love show. The last episode came out, what was it, last week? Or this week maybe?
It was this past Monday,
This
the
past Monday,
15th,
okay.
December 15th. Yep.
How what my I was talking with my mom the other day actually, and she told me she has Hallmark Plus, so she's gonna go back and watch all the episodes, which why does she have Hallmark Plus? I'm not sure, but she does, and so she's gonna do it all. But what was being on that show like? Was it cool? Walk us down that experience because I think that is really awesome.
It was such an incredible experience. Just I still pinch me. I can't believe it even
Yeah.
happened. I had a casting agent reach out to me on Instagram
What is
and leave
okay,
me a
is that crazy when you have, like, a casting agents, "Hey, do you wanna come do this?" That's gotta feel kinda shell shock.
I've had it happen once before.
Okay.
It's been a while, but so they reached out to me, I guess, in the spring of 2025 to see if I'd be interested in trying out for a family baking show
Yeah.
competition. And I responded with an I'd love to hear more because I was not sure if it was legit. I
Mhm.
thought it might be spam,
Okay.
something like that. And it wasn't, so that was good. And I had to ask a family member to try out with me that was 18 years of age or older. And my mom was a natural choice
That
because
is
she
so
likes to
cool.
bake.
Yeah.
And so we tried out, really thinking it would be such a long shot, but we did. We had a family medical thing that happened right before we were supposed to try out. And so
Mhm.
I canceled our first interview and said, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to interview or not. We'll have to see how our family member is doing
Yeah.
before we try out. And a week later, everything was fine. Thank the Lord.
Good,
And
yeah.
so we tried out the day that everything we found out was all clear and
Yeah.
fine. And they had multiple steps to our casting process. So we went through probably 3 or 4 interviews and then waited
Wow.
for about 2 weeks, and they called us and told us we were cast. So that was very shocking
Yeah.
and exciting.
Did you like getting to do it with your mom? Did you, was that were there any challenges with that, or was it just like a blast getting to experience that with her?
It was a blast getting to experience it with her. Mom and I get along really well.
Good.
We communicate well, and so we found out we were gonna be on the show, and they gave us a brief for each episode. You go into it not knowing how far you're gonna make it into the show. But if you've watched this show, each day there is a surprise challenge in the morning, which we have no clue what it is each day.
Yeah.
But the second challenge during the show, we have been tasked before the show has even started with coming up with a recipe for that bake.
Mhm.
And so mom and I spent a lot of time in the weeks leading up to leaving to go be on the show practicing
Yeah.
our bakes together. We did not have time to practice them more than once, but we did practice the
Wow.
recipes that we had come up with
Gotcha.
just to make sure they would work. And then we left for the Cotswolds. That's where the show was filmed in England.
That's so
And
cool.
we arrived and had a couple days to, get used to being there, and
Yeah.
then we started shooting the show. And the days were like 12 to 15 hours.
Oh my goodness. Did you, so you I mean, you're doing this, holiday baking show, in a whole 'nother country, but did you ever kind of find that, while you're working and y'all are creating that there was, that Southern influence was kind of finding its way back in. Maybe your grandma's influence was, was also in those recipes too.
Oh, for sure. My grandmothers, both grandmothers, both grandfathers, a lot of our family in general, which we all live here in the South, the flavors were influenced by them. The
Yeah.
first episode, the surprise challenge was a peach pie. Well, the surprise challenge was for us to make a pie,
Yeah.
and we made a peach pie, and that was heavily influenced by my mom's mom, my granny. She always had peaches. She even canned peaches.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
that was definitely for her. And we really used Southern flavors, and they kept telling us we needed to use more than just vanilla and buttercream, but that's just kind of
That's what you do.
that's what we do. We like our vanilla.
Where was everybody else on this show that y'all were competing against? Were any of them from the South, or were you making a lot of friends with people kind of, around different places?
There were people from all over the United States. There was a couple that lives in Kentucky. I think they are from Ohio, but have lived in Kentucky for a long time, and that's their home. So there was one other Southern
Yeah.
couple on the show, and the show had you had to have a family member. It could be a spouse, it could be your mom, your
Mhm.
sister, your brother. So a variety of different family duos were on the show.
Wow. Would you, given the opportunity, would you do anything like that again? Or is it, I mean, 12 to 15-hour days sounds crazy. So is that too exhausting, or would you love to kind of be back there?
If I were given the right opportunity, I would do it again.
Yeah.
It was a very good experience to film with the Hallmark Channel. They're a family channel.
Mhm.
They were very friendly. I did not feel like they would paint anyone in a bad light going into it. So, given the right opportunity with the right brand, maybe.
Yeah.
But I might need a break.
Sure.
It was cool.
How many days were you there doing it? Like, just filming?
Filming, let me see. We filmed 8 full days. Those were the episodes. So each episode was filmed in a day, but then
Yeah.
we also had additional filming days where we did interviews.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we had media days where we did filming where they could have clips to share on social media
Sure.
prior and during the show being aired.
Well, hey, kudos to y'all, because I think if I had to do a 15-hour day of anything, I would probably tap out and be done in one day. I'd be like, that was too much. We're done. So what a cool experience. Sally, I really appreciate you jumping on. You really have enjoyed just talking and hearing how the South has influenced you and all that you've done. As I wrap up shows, I like to ask my guest one question, just because I think the South's a great place and so many people have lived here. If you were the host of Southern Fried, if we switched places and you had to like get somebody to be on the show, who is somebody that you just think would make a good Southern Fried guest?
Wow, that is a great question. Well, Dolly Parton,
Wouldn't she be awesome?
I'd love to meet her.
I think that's so right.
I think she represents the South so well
Yeah.
and has just had such a awesome career and has influenced so many people with the good works that she's done. Aside from her entertainment, I think she would be a great guest. So if you have her on, you better let me know.
I will. I think if I have Dolly Parton on, everybody ever will know that she joined, because I will never shut up about that, because that would be incredible. She, like, when you talk about Southern lady, just Southern person, period, she's it, right? That is Dolly Parton. So that would be incredible.
She'd be a good one. And I forgot to mention this earlier.
Yeah.
I know we went to rival schools, but I tell you, I really did just like Mike Leach so much.
Yeah.
He was a great coach in person.
He seemed like, I mean, I think everything I've heard and, going to Mississippi State, you just hear people who are connected with him, and everything that I've ever heard about him, it feels like the way that he was in all those interviews was, who he was behind closed doors, and just getting to sit and pick his brain and talk to him, that would have been really incredible.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Well, Sally, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate you just taking some time out of your day, and getting to tell us a little bit about what it's like, being in your world and how the South has influenced that. And so I just can't thank you enough for jumping on this recording with me.
Well, thanks for having me, and I love living in the South, and I think all the people are wonderful. The food is great. So it's a big part of my culture, and I just thank you for having me and let me talk about it for a minute.
Absolutely. Well, Sally, thank you so much, and hope to stay in touch.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye bye.
And that is a wrap on this episode of Southern Fried. A big thank you to Sally for jumping on. Seriously, please go to her website, sallysconfections.com. Search her up, Sally McKay. Give her a follow on Instagram. Check out her website online. She's got some great recipes, probably some that I'm hopefully going to try, especially now that, it's Christmas time. I can do some of those holiday biscuits and not worry about all the butter that goes into them. Hey, if you enjoy Southern Fried, thank you for listening and supporting this show. It means the world that people continue to follow along as we are going through this journey and talking to people and hearing about the South and exploring this great place by talking to the people that make it up. If you would, go follow us on Southern Fried Pod. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts and just continue to support and listen to us. And y'all, come on back.